I still remember the exact moment I realized the earrings were gone. It was a Tuesday morning, early September, and the construction site where I work as foreman had been rained out. I came home around 10, my work boots still caked with yesterday's mud, expecting an empty house since Maya had classes all day. The silence felt different somehow, heavier, guilty. I should have known right then that something was wrong. I went upstairs to change out of my damp clothes, and that's when I saw it. The velvet box on my dresser was open. Not just open, empty. The sapphire earrings that had sat there for 3 years, untouched except for the times I'd held them and remembered Catherine wearing them on our anniversary dinners, were gone. My heart dropped into my stomach like a hammer falling from scaffolding. Those earrings weren't worth much to anyone else. Small sapphires, simple gold settings, probably a few $100s at most. But they'd belonged to Catherine's mother first, passed down on our wedding day with tears and blessings. Catherine wore them every Sunday to church, every parent-teacher conference, every moment she wanted to feel her mother close. After she died, they became my talisman, my proof that she'd been real, that our love had existed in this world. I called Maya immediately, my hands shaking as I pressed her contact. She answered on the fourth ring, her voice small and careful. "Dad, is everything okay? You're usually at the site." "Where are the earrings, Maya?" I didn't mean to sound so harsh, but fear does that to a man. "Your mother's sapphire earrings. They're gone." The silence on the other end lasted an eternity. I could hear her breathing, could almost feel her scrambling for words, for explanations, for anything that might soften what was coming. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I was going to tell you, I swear I was going to tell you." "Tell me what?" My voice came out as a whisper. "I pawned them last week. I pawned Mom's earrings." The world tilted. I sat down hard on the edge of my bed, the same bed where Catherine and I had slept for 22 years, where I'd held her during those final terrible nights when the cancer ate away at everything we'd built. "You did what?" Maya was crying now, full sobs that reminded me of when she was 7 and had accidentally broken Catherine's favorite teacup. "I didn't know what else to do, Dad. The tuition payment was overdue, and they were going to drop me from my classes, and I couldn't tell you because you've already done so much. You've already sacrificed everything. So you stole your mother's earrings." I couldn't keep the anger from my voice. "You took the one thing I have left of her and sold it to strangers." "I didn't steal them, I thought I could buy them back next month when I got my work-study check, I thought." Her voice dissolved into incoherent crying. I closed my eyes and forced myself to breathe. Catherine would have known what to say right now. She always knew how to balance disappointment with understanding, how to discipline Maya while making her feel loved. I had never mastered that skill. "Which pawn shop?" I asked. "Dad, please, I'm so sorry." "Which pawn shop, Maya?" "Goldstein's, downtown on 5th Street. But Dad, I tried to go back this morning with some money my roommate lent me, and they said—" She stopped, her crying intensifying. "They said what?" "They already sold them, yesterday afternoon. They're gone, Dad, I'm so sorry, they're gone." I hung up without saying goodbye. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I didn't trust myself to speak. The rage and grief swirling inside me felt too big for my body, too hot for words. I grabbed my truck keys and headed out the door, not even bothering to change out of my work clothes. Goldstein's pawn shop was a fixture in our city, one of those old establishments that had survived urban renewal and economic downturns through sheer stubbornness. The owner, Isaac Goldstein, was 70 if he was a day, with kind eyes behind thick glasses and hands that trembled slightly when he moved items around his cluttered display cases. I pushed through the door hard enough to make the bell jangle violently. Isaac looked up from behind the counter, his expression shifting from welcoming to concerned when he saw my face. "Thomas, Thomas Brennan, good Lord, what's wrong?" "My daughter pawned a pair of sapphire earrings here last week," I said, my voice tight. "Simple gold settings, small stones. She said you sold them yesterday. Isaac's face fell. He knew immediately what I was talking about. In a small city like ours, everyone had known Catherine, had watched her fight cancer, had attended her funeral. Oh, Thomas, I'm so sorry. If I'd known they were Catherine's. Maya didn't say anything, she just seemed like a desperate college kid needing money. I gave her a fair price, more than fair actually, because they reminded me of the earrings my own mother used to wear. Who bought them? I demanded. I need to know who bought them. I'll pay whatever they want, double, triple. Isaac held up his hands, his expression pained. You know I can't just give out customer information, Thomas. It's not legal and it's not right. Isaac, please. I heard the begging in my own voice and didn't care. Those earrings are all I have left of her. They're all I have left. The old man's eyes filled with tears. He turned to his computer, his trembling fingers moving slowly across the keyboard. After a long moment, he wrote something on a piece of paper and slid it across the counter to me. I can't tell you who bought them, he said carefully. But if this receipt accidentally fell out of my files and you happen to see it, well, there's nothing I can do about that. I grabbed the paper. The buyer's name. I walked out of the pawn shop in a daze. Dr. Voss had bought Catherine's earrings. Of all the people in this city, of all the strangers who might have purchased them, it was the woman who had known my wife almost as well as I had. The woman who had seen Catherine at her weakest, her most vulnerable, her most human. I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, trying to make sense of it. Dr. Voss had retired from the cancer center last year, I remembered hearing. She'd opened a small private practice somewhere on the north side of town. I pulled out my phone and searched for her contact information, my hand still shaking. The website was simple and professional. Eliner Voss, M.D. Internal medicine. The address was a converted Victorian house in the historic district, painted a soft blue-gray with white trim. Office hours were Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5. I glanced at my watch. It was 11:30. She would be there now. I drove across town in a fog of confusion and hope and fear. Part of me wanted to call first, to explain the situation over the phone, but I couldn't find the words. How do you tell someone that you need them to give back a piece of your dead wife? How do you explain that kind of desperation? The Victorian house was exactly as the website showed it, sitting on a quiet street lined with old oak trees. A small bronze plaque beside the door read, Eliner Voss, M.D. by appointment only. I stood on the porch for a full minute before I could make myself knock. A young receptionist opened the door, her professional smile faltering when she saw my work clothes and probably the wild look in my eyes. Can I help you, sir? I need to see Dr. Voss, I said. Please, it's urgent. Do you have an appointment? Dr. Voss's schedule is fully. Tell her Thomas Brennan is here, Catherine Brennan's husband. She'll know who I am. The receptionist's expression changed immediately. She nodded and disappeared down a hallway, returning less than a minute later with a different look on her face, softer, sadder. Dr. Voss will see you right away. Please follow me. The office she led me to was nothing like the sterile examination rooms at the cancer center. This was warm, filled with books and plants and photographs of what looked like hiking trips and family gatherings. Doctor. Eliner Voss stood up from behind a wooden desk, and I was struck by how much she'd aged since Catherine's funeral. Her dark hair had gone almost completely gray, pulled back in a neat bun. But her eyes were the same, intelligent, compassionate, impossibly kind. Thomas, she said, coming around the desk with her hands extended. My God, Thomas Brennan, it's been too long. I took her hands, felt their warmth, their strength. Dr. Voss, I'm sorry to barge in like this, but I need to talk to you about something important. Of course, please sit down. Can I get you some water, coffee? She was already moving toward a small table with a coffee maker, her movements practiced and soothing. No, thank you. I just need. I stopped, suddenly unsure how to begin. My daughter Maya did something she shouldn't have done. She pawned a pair of earrings that belonged to Catherine. Sapphire earrings in gold settings. They were from Catherine's mother, and after Catherine died they were all I had left of her. Dr. Voss had gone very still. She was looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read, surprise certainly, but something else underneath it, something almost like recognition. "I went to the pawn shop this morning," I continued, "and they told me the earrings had already been sold. The owner gave me the receipt. I pulled out the crumpled paper. It said you bought them yesterday afternoon." Dr. Voss sank slowly into the chair across from me. Her hands were trembling now just slightly. "Oh, Thomas," she whispered. "Oh, my God." "I know this is strange," I said quickly. "I know I have no right to ask, but please, those earrings mean everything to me. I'll pay you whatever you want, any amount. I'll take out a loan, I'll mortgage the house, whatever it takes. Please, I can't lose this last piece of her." But Dr. Voss wasn't listening. She was staring at something behind me, tears streaming down her face. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible. "She promised them to me." "What?" "Catherine, your wife. She promised me those earrings." Dr. Voss stood up and walked to a filing cabinet in the corner, pulling out a folder with shaking hands. "I've been looking for them for 3 years, Thomas. I've checked every estate sale, every jewelry store, every pawn shop in the city. I had almost given up." She opened the folder and pulled out a letter, handwritten on hospital stationery. The sight of Catherine's handwriting, looping and elegant despite the tremor that had taken over her hands in those final weeks, nearly broke me. "She wrote this 2 days before she died," Dr. Voss said, handing me the letter. "She made me promise not to show it to you until the earrings found their way to me. She said I'd know. You told me about your own mother's death from breast cancer. You shared your grief with me when you didn't have to. You made me feel less alone in the darkness. When you mentioned your mother's sapphire earrings, the ones that were lost when your parents' house burned down, I saw the same look in your eyes that I see in mine when I look at these earrings my mother gave me. That look of loss, of wishing for one more tangible connection to the person who made you who you are. So these are yours, Eleanor. They were always meant to be yours. My mother would have loved knowing they went to someone who truly understood their meaning, who knew what it was to lose a mother, who helped me face my own death with grace. Thomas will be angry at first when he learns the truth, but he'll understand eventually. He'll see that some debts can't be measured in money, that some gratitude transcends the grave. Give these earrings to someone you love when the time comes. Pass them forward. Let them carry forward the legacy of women who saw each other's worth, who held each other up when the world tried to break them down. Thank you for seeing me, Eleanor. Thank you for everything. With love and gratitude. Catherine. I couldn't see the last few lines through my tears. I read the letter again, then a third time, trying to make sense of what Catherine had done, what she'd planned without telling me. Dr. Voss was crying openly now, not bothering to wipe her tears. "I never asked her for them," she said. "I swear to you, Thomas, I never would have asked. We were talking one night very late when the pain was bad and she couldn't sleep. I told her about my mother's earrings, how I'd give anything to hold them just one more time. And Catherine looked at me with those eyes. You remember how intense her eyes could be. And she made me promise that when her earrings found their way to me, I would accept them." "She knew," I said slowly, the realization dawning. "She knew Maya would pawn them someday." "I don't think she knew that specifically," Dr. Voss said. "But Catherine was a wise woman. She knew how hard things would be for you financially. She knew Maya would struggle. She said the earrings would find their way to me when they were meant to, that the universe had a way of honoring these kinds of promises." I thought about Maya, desperate and ashamed, pawning her mother's earrings to stay in school. About Isaac Goldstein, who'd given her more than fair value because the earrings reminded him of his own mother. About Dr. Voss, who'd been searching pawn shops for 3 years, looking for a piece of her lost mother in every pair of sapphire earrings she saw. "I've been so angry at Maya," I said. "I hung up on her. I didn't even let her explain." Dr. Voss reached across the space between us and took my hand. "Catherine would understand your anger. But she'd also tell you that Maya was just trying to survive, just trying to make her mother proud by finishing her education. There's no malice in that, Thomas, only love and desperation. What about the tuition? I asked. Maya still needs to pay tuition. That's why she pawned the earrings in the first place. Dr. Voss smiled through her tears. Your wife saved my life, Thomas. I don't think I ever told you this, but I was close to leaving medicine when Catherine became my patient. I was burned out, drowning in bureaucracy and insurance battles and patients who saw me as just another cog in the medical machine. Catherine reminded me why I became a doctor. She saw me as a person, not just a physician. She asked about my life, my dreams, my struggles. She made me feel human again. She stood up and walked to her desk, pulling out a checkbook. When Catherine died, I donated the money I would have charged for her care to the Cancer Center's research fund. It was several $1,000s. I can do the same for Maya's tuition. Dr. Voss, I can't. Alina, please call me Alina. And yes, you can. Consider it payment on a debt I owe your wife. She gave me back my purpose, Thomas. She saved my career, maybe even my life. Let me honor that by helping her daughter. I watched as she wrote out a check, her handwriting as careful and precise as Catherine's had been flowing and artistic. She handed it to me and I saw the amount, $5,000. That should cover this semester and most of next, Alina said. Tell Maya it's not a loan. It's a gift from her mother who planned better for her future than any of us realized. I couldn't speak. The gratitude and grief tangled together in my chest felt too big for words. Alina seemed to understand. She picked up a small box from her desk drawer and opened it. Inside were Catherine's earrings, the sapphires catching the afternoon light streaming through the window. Catherine asked me to give these to Maya on her graduation day, Alina said. She wanted her daughter to have them when she was old enough to understand their full meaning, their full history. She wanted Maya to know about the women who came before her grandmother who gave them as a symbol of enduring love, her mother who passed them forward as a symbol of gratitude and recognition, and me, who will give them to her as a symbol of legacy and earned achievement. You're giving them back? I asked, stunned. I'm holding them in trust, Alina corrected gently. Catherine trusted me to keep them safe until Maya was ready. When is her graduation? Next May, if she can finish her degree. She will. She has her mother's determination. Alina closed the box carefully. I'll keep them safe until then. And Thomas, I want you to be there when I give them to Maya. I want her to know the full story, the debt her mother paid forward, the gratitude that transcended death, the way these earrings traveled through love and loss and desperation to end up exactly where they were meant to be. I left Alina's office an hour later, emotionally exhausted but somehow lighter than I'd felt in 3 years. When I got home, Maya's car was in the driveway. She must have cut her afternoon classes. I found her in her bedroom, curled up on her bed with red-rimmed eyes and a box of tissues. She looked up when I opened the door, her face crumpling when she saw me. Dad, I'm so sorry. I know sorry isn't enough. I know I violated your trust and Mom's memory, and I understand if you can't forgive me. I'll drop out of school. I'll get a full-time job. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Maya. I sat down on the edge of her bed, the same bed where Catherine used to sit and braid her hair before school, where we'd read bedtime stories and talked about her dreams. Stop, just stop and listen to me. She hiccuped and nodded, clutching a pillow to her chest. I pulled out Alina's check and handed it to her. This is for your tuition. Maya stared at the check, her eyes widening. Dad, where did you get this? Did you take out a loan? Did you mortgage the house? Oh God, please tell me you didn't mortgage the house. It's from Dr. Voss, I said. Catherine's oncologist, do you remember her? Dr. Voss. I remember she came to the funeral. She cried during the eulogy. Maya looked down at the check again, confused. Why would Dr. Voss give us money? I told her everything then. About the earrings ending up at Goldstein's pawn shop, about Dr. Voss searching for 3 years, about Catherine's letter and her final wish. Maya cried through most of it. The kind of deep, racking sobs that come from grief mixed with relief mixed with awe at the mysteries of love and timing. Mom planned this, she whispered when I finished. She knew the earrings would end up with Dr. Voss. Not the exact path they'd take, I said, but she trusted that they'd find their way to where they needed to be. And somehow, through your mistake, her wish came true. Maya looked at me with Catherine's eyes, that same mix of vulnerability and strength that had first made me fall in love with her mother. Are you still angry at me? I thought about that question carefully. I was angry, furious, actually. Those earrings were my connection to your mother, my proof that she existed, but I've been holding onto her wrong, Maya. I've been trying to keep her frozen in a velvet box on my dresser, unchanging and untouchable. Your mother was never like that. She was always moving forward, always thinking about how her actions would ripple outward, how her love could extend beyond her lifetime. But I pawned them without asking, Maya said, her voice small. I stole from you. You made a desperate choice in a desperate situation. And yes, you should have talked to me first. We could have figured something out together. But your choice, your mistake, led to honoring your mother's final wish. How can I stay angry about that? Maya threw her arms around me, holding on tight the way she used to as a little girl after a nightmare. I miss her so much, Dad, every single day. I know, baby, I know I miss her too. We sat like that for a long time, two people trying to navigate a world without the woman who'd held us together. Eventually, Maya pulled back and wiped her eyes. When do I get the earrings back? Graduation day. Dr. Voss is holding them until then. Your mother wanted you to have them when you finished your degree, when you'd earned them through your own hard work and determination. That's so like Mom, Maya said with a watery laugh. Making me wait, making me work for it. She believed in you, Maya. She believed you'd finish what you started, even when things got hard, even when it seemed impossible. Maya looked down at the check again, running her finger over Eleanor's signature. I should thank her, Dr. Voss. I should call her or write her a letter or something. We'll both thank her at your graduation, I said. We'll make it a celebration of your achievement, of your mother's love, of the unexpected ways grace finds us. The months between that September day and Maya's graduation, the following May, were not easy. There were still moments of grief that hit us both like waves, still nights when I woke up reaching for Catherine and found only empty space. But something had shifted in both of us, some understanding that honoring Catherine's memory meant more than preserving it unchanged. It meant living forward, making choices, even making mistakes, and trusting that love could transform those mistakes into meaning. Maya threw herself into her studies with renewed purpose. She made the dean's list that fall semester and joined a volunteer program at the cancer center, reading to patients during their chemotherapy sessions. When I asked her why, she said, Mom spent her time there making Dr. Voss feel human. I want to spend my time there making patients feel seen. I started having dinner with Eleanor Voss once a month. It began as a thank you, a way to express gratitude I couldn't quite put into words, but it evolved into genuine friendship. She told me stories about Catherine's treatment that I'd never heard, moments of humor and grace that happened during the hours I was at work, trying to pay medical bills that Eleanor had secretly waived. I learned that Catherine had made Eleanor laugh, had asked about her love life, had matchmade between Eleanor and a pharmacist at the hospital who eventually became Eleanor's partner. Your wife was a force of nature, Eleanor told me over coffee one evening. Even dying, she was more alive than most people manage in perfect health. She changed everyone she touched. As graduation approached, Maya grew increasingly nervous about receiving the earrings. What if I'm not ready? She asked me one night. What if I don't deserve them yet? Your mother didn't leave them to you because you were perfect, I said. She left them because you're hers, because you carry her forward in the way you see the world, in the way you care about people. The earrings are just symbols of that, Maya. You've already earned them by being exactly who you are. Graduation day dawned bright and warm, the kind of perfect May morning that Catherine had always loved. The ceremony was held outside on the university quad, rows of folding chairs filled with proud families and excited graduates. I sat in the third row with Alina, both of us craning our necks to spot Maya in her cap and gown among the sea of students. When Maya's name was called and she walked across the stage to receive her diploma, Alina and I stood up and cheered louder than anyone else. I saw Maya's face light up when she spotted us, saw her wave with her diploma held high. She looked so much like Catherine in that moment that my breath caught. After the ceremony, we met at a small Italian restaurant that had been Catherine's favorite, the place where we'd celebrated every major milestone in our family's history. Alina had brought the velvet box, which sat on the table between us like a small, precious time bomb. Maya couldn't take her eyes off it. I can't believe they're really here. I can't believe after everything, they made it back to our family. They never left your family, Alina said gently. They just took a necessary journey. Sometimes we have to let things go to understand their true value. She opened the box and held it out to Maya. Your mother wanted you to have these on the day you graduated. She wanted you to know that you come from a line of strong, brilliant women who saw beyond themselves, who understood that real wealth is measured in love and connection, not in money or things. Your grandmother gave these to your mother as a symbol of faith in her future. Your mother gave them to me as a symbol of gratitude for seeing her humanity. And now, I give them to you as a symbol of everything you've achieved and everything you'll become. Maya took the earrings with trembling hands, tears streaming down her face. She held them up to the light, and the sapphires sparkled exactly as they had when Catherine wore them, when her grandmother wore them, when they first came into our family's story. There's one more thing, I said, pulling out the letter Catherine had written to Alina. Your mother left this. I think you should read it. Maya read Catherine's words slowly, carefully, her tears dropping onto the hospital stationery and blurring the ink slightly. When she finished, she looked up at Alina with wonder. You've been looking for these for 3 years. You've been checking pawn shops all this time. Alina nodded. I promised your mother I'd accept them when they found me. I never imagined the journey they'd take, but I kept my promise, just as she trusted me to do. And you're paying my tuition even though Mom already gave you the earrings. Maya's voice was thick with emotion. Your mother gave me back my purpose, Alina said. She reminded me why I became a doctor, why healing is about more than just treating disease. The money is nothing compared to that gift. Besides, Catherine specifically wrote that the earrings should go to someone I love when the time comes. I thought maybe you could wear them at my wedding next fall. Maya's eyes widened. Your wedding. Alina smiled and held up her left hand, showing a simple gold band. Your mother introduced me to my fiancé, actually. Catherine was convinced that the pharmacy tech and I would be perfect together. She was right, as usual. We're getting married in October, and I'd be honored if you'd stand up with me, wearing your mother's earrings. The 3 of us sat in that restaurant for hours, long after the other graduation families had left, trading stories about Catherine and crying and laughing, and marveling at the strange paths love takes. Maya put on the earrings, and I watched the sapphires catch the light against her dark hair, watched my daughter transform into a bridge between past and future, between loss and hope. As the sun set and we finally prepared to leave, Maya hugged Alina tightly. Thank you for taking care of them. Thank you for taking care of her. She took care of all of us, Alina said. Even after she was gone, she's still taking care of us. That's the thing about love, it doesn't end. It just transforms, finds new expressions, new ways to hold us together. Driving home that night with Maya in the passenger seat, the earrings glinting in her ears, I felt Catherine's presence more strongly than I had since her death. Not as a ghost or a memory frozen in time, but as a living force that continued to shape our choices, our relationships, our understanding of what matters. Dad, Maya said quietly, I'm sorry again for pawning the earrings. Don't be, I said. You did what you thought you had to do to survive, and somehow your mistake became the key that unlocked your mother's final gift. That's not something to apologize for. Do you think Mom knew? Maya asked. Do you think she somehow knew I'd pawn them, that they'd end up at Goldstein's, that Dr. Voss would find them? I thought about that question for a long time before answering. I think your mother understood human nature. She knew that desperate times call for desperate measures. She knew that sometimes the most precious things have to circulate through the world, through other people's hands, before they reveal their true purpose. She trusted the universe to honor her wishes, and somehow it did. That's beautiful, Maya said, and also kind of terrifying, like Mom was playing chess with fate from beyond the grave. I laughed despite myself. That sounds exactly like something your mother would do. We drove in comfortable silence for a while, the city lights giving way to the darker streets of our neighborhood. As I pulled into our driveway, Maya touched the earrings gently, reverently. I'm going to take such good care of these, she said. And someday, when I have a daughter, I'll tell her about Grandma Catherine and Dr. Voss and the journey these earrings took. I'll tell her about how sometimes the worst mistakes turn into the most beautiful gifts. Your mother would love that, I said. She always believed in the power of stories, the way they connect us across generations. Inside the house, I went to my bedroom and looked at the dresser where the velvet box had sat for 3 years. The space was empty now, but it didn't feel like loss anymore. It felt like completion, like the final chapter of a story that Catherine had been writing all. I pulled out my phone and texted Alina. Thank you doesn't seem like enough, but thank you for everything, for seeing Catherine, for honoring her wishes, for becoming part of our family. Her response came quickly. Catherine brought us together for a reason. She knew we'd need each other after she was gone. I'm the one who should be thanking you for sharing your daughter, for trusting me with such precious memories, for understanding that some debts transcend money or material things. That night I dreamed of Catherine for the first time in months. In the dream, we were back at the Italian restaurant, young and in love, celebrating some long-forgotten anniversary. She was wearing the sapphire earrings, and they caught the candlelight as she laughed at something I'd said. When I woke up, the dream didn't fade the way dreams usually do. It stayed with me, warm and real, a reminder that love doesn't die. It just changes shape, finds new forms, continues forward through the people we've touched and the gifts we've given. 6 months later, I stood in Alina's garden watching Maya adjust the sapphire earrings one final time before Alina's wedding began. She looked radiant, wearing a blue dress that Catherine would have loved, her hair pulled back to showcase the earrings that had traveled such a long, strange journey to end up exactly where they belonged. Ready? Maya asked Alina, who was nervously smoothing down her simple white dress. Ready, Alina said, then looked at both of us with tears in her eyes. I wish Catherine could see this. She can, I said with certainty. She planned it, didn't she? In her own way, she orchestrated all of this. This is exactly what she wanted, all of us together, connected by love and loss and gratitude, wearing her gifts and honoring her memory by living fully, by loving completely. The ceremony was small and intimate, just close friends and family gathered in Alina's backyard under strings of lights. As Maya walked Alina down the aisle toward her waiting bride, the sapphire earrings caught the evening light, and I swear I could feel Catherine smiling, could sense her satisfaction at seeing her final wish fulfilled so perfectly. After the ceremony, during the reception, Alina pulled me aside. I've been thinking about what you said about Catherine orchestrating all this. I went back through her medical files recently. I probably shouldn't have, but I needed to understand something. What did you find? 3 days before she died, Catherine asked me about my mother's earrings. She asked specific questions, what they looked like, how I'd recognize them if I ever saw them again. At the time, I thought she was just making conversation, trying to distract herself from the pain. But looking back, I think she was planning. She was making sure I'd recognize her earrings when they appeared, making sure I'd know they were meant for me. She thought of everything, I said, not surprised anymore by Catherine's foresight, her ability to plan for contingencies and possibilities that seemed impossible. She told me something else that day, Alina continued. She said, the greatest gift we can give the people we love is the freedom to make mistakes and discover that those mistakes can become miracles. I didn't understand what she meant then. But watching Maya pawn the earrings, watching them find their way to me, watching how it all connected us together, that was Catherine's final lesson. She taught us that as the evening wore on and the celebration continued around us, I watched Maya laughing with Alina's new wife, watched them bond over stories of Catherine's wit and wisdom. I watched Alina glow with happiness, surrounded by people who loved her, wearing a future Catherine had helped make possible. And I understood, finally, what Catherine had been trying to teach me all along. That love isn't about holding on. It's about letting go, letting things and people circulate through the world, touch other lives, create new connections. It's about trusting that what's truly meant for us will find its way back, transformed and enriched by its journey. The sapphire earrings had traveled from Catherine's mother to Catherine, from Catherine to Alina, from Alina back to Maya. They'd passed through a pawn shop and desperate hands and searching eyes before finding their true home. And in that journey, they'd become more than just jewelry. They'd become a story about love that transcends death, about gratitude that transforms grief, about the unexpected ways our mistakes can honor the people we've lost. I pulled out my phone and took a photo of Maya wearing the earrings, laughing at something someone had said. I sent it to our family group chat with a simple caption, "Mom would be so proud." Within seconds, responses flooded in from aunts and uncles and cousins who'd known and loved Catherine. But it was Maya's response that made me smile. She's still teaching us, still loving us, still finding ways to bring us together. That's the real inheritance, not the earrings, but the lesson they taught us about letting go and trusting that love finds its way. Sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I think about all the tiny decisions that had to align for Catherine's wish to come true. Maya's financial struggles, her decision to pawn the earrings instead of asking me for help, Isaac Goldstein's kindness in giving her a fair price, Alina's 3-year search through pawn shops, the exact timing that brought the earrings to Goldstein's just when Alina happened to visit. Each of those moments could have gone differently. Each tiny variation could have sent the earrings to some stranger's jewelry box, could have broken the chain that Catherine had carefully set in motion. But somehow, against all odds, it worked. The earrings found exactly who they needed to find, exactly when they needed to find them. I don't know if that's fate or coincidence or Catherine's will reaching out from beyond the grave. Maybe it's all three, woven together into something that transcends explanation. All I know is that what seemed like our worst moment, Maya's betrayal, my fury, the loss of our last tangible connection to Catherine, became our most important lesson in trust, in letting go, in understanding that love doesn't require possession. Maya graduated from medical school last spring. She's doing her residency in oncology now, inspired by her mother's journey and Alina's compassion. She wears the sapphire earrings to work every day, and patients comment on them, ask about their history. Maya tells them the whole story, about her grandmother's gift, her mother's promise, her own desperate mistake, and the doctor who searched for 3 years to honor a dying woman's wish. Those stories matter, she tells me. They remind Alina and I still have monthly dinners. We've started a small scholarship fund in Catherine's name for students struggling with medical bills, inspired by the way Catherine's earrings helped pay Maya's tuition. We've helped 6 students so far, and every time we write a check, I feel Catherine's presence, Feel her approval for this way of extending her generosity forward. Sometimes people ask me if I regret what happened, if I wish Maya had never pawned the earrings, if I wish I'd had more time with that physical reminder of Catherine. The answer is always no. Because that loss taught me what Catherine spent her whole life trying to show me. That love isn't about possession. It's about circulation, about letting precious things move through the world touching other lives, about trusting that what's truly ours will return transformed and enriched. The earrings are Maya's now, completely and forever. But they're also Catherine's legacy, Alina's treasure, a bridge between past and future that will continue forward through generations. And that's exactly as it should be. Because in the end, Catherine's greatest gift wasn't the earrings themselves. It was the lesson they taught us about letting go, about trusting love to find its way, about the miraculous ways our mistakes can become exactly what we needed all along. And that's a gift that keeps giving, that keeps teaching, that keeps transforming everything